Have you ever wondered what it really takes to get an AI application from just a bright idea all the way to a secure, working tool in the cloud? Well, today we're going to break down that entire life cycle, step by step, and we'll be using Google Cloud as our playground. So let's dive in.
Now, to make all this feel a bit more real, we're going to follow a hypothetical development team. And their mission? It's to build a smart project management app that lives directly inside Google Chat. The whole idea is to use AI to make their workflow faster and, way more efficient, all without ever having to leave their team conversation.
So the goal is pretty simple, but it's also really powerful. They want to manage their entire agile software project right from inside their team's chat. Think about that. No more switching between a dozen different apps, no more losing your train of thought.
And the core challenge here is something I think we've all felt, right? You're in a fast-moving chat, great ideas are flying around, and then they just get lost. So what they need is a tool that can instantly grab those little sparks of inspiration and turn them into structured, actionable tasks, right there in the middle of the conversation.
All right, first things first. Every great application needs a solid foundation. For our team, this means building a backend that's fast, scalable, and, this is key, serverless. It needs to handle all their project data, from user stories to who's assigned to what.
So they choose Firestore, and it's honestly a perfect fit. See, it's a NoSQL database. That means instead of rigid tables and columns, your data is stored in these flexible documents. This is absolutely ideal for their project because user stories and chat data, well, they don't always fit into a neat little box. It gives them the freedom to change things later without having to redesign the whole database from scratch.
And getting started is surprisingly simple. Step 1, they create the database. Step 2, they define the basic structure for things like user stories and team members. And finally, step 3, they write the app's logic using cloud functions. You can just think of these as little on-demand bits of code that run in the cloud without needing a dedicated server. They're basically the brains of the whole operation.
Okay, so the backend's in place. Now it's time for the real magic. How do we take this simple database and turn it into an intelligent assistant that actually helps the team get their work done?
So how does this app level up from being just a data bucket to something that helps the team write better user stories? Well, the answer is generative AI. And in this case, they're plugging into Google's Vertex AI platform to do the heavy lifting.
And this right here, this is where the workflow becomes truly transformative. Look at this. A developer can just type a quick, shorthand command like /create-user-story, add login button, and boom. Vertex AI instantly expands it into a perfectly formatted, complete user story. And this isn't just about saving time. It makes sure that every single story follows the same high-quality standard.
By integrating Vertex AI, the app becomes this true creative partner. It's not just storing text. It can generate full descriptions from a simple title, it can expand on brief ideas, and it can even clean up grammar and fix typos. It's like having a project management co-pilot built right into your chat.
Okay, so the app is built, it's intelligent, and it works on a developer's laptop. That's great. But how does the whole team actually start using it? Well, it's time to deploy this thing to the cloud. For this part of the journey, they turn to Firebase App Hosting. It's a solution that's basically tailor-made for deploying modern, dynamic web apps just like this one, and it takes a ton of the usual complexity out of the process.
And this really shows the power of an integrated platform. That whole complex, multi-step deployment dance gets simplified down to a single action, just pushing your code to GitHub. From there, app hosting automates everything. It builds the app, deploys it, and it even manages secret API keys. The whole process becomes both simple and incredibly secure.
So the app is live, but for any serious application, deployment is really just the beginning. Now our team has to tackle two huge enterprise challenges: security and quality. How do they keep it safe? And just as important, how do they prove the AI is actually any good?
So here's a classic real-world problem. Let's say a data scientist on the team needs to access the AI model, but they're working from an AWS SageMaker notebook. How do you give them secure access to your Google Cloud project without just, opening a dangerous door to the public internet?
The solution is basically to build a digital fence around their Google Cloud resources. This is done using something called VPC service controls. It creates this secure perimeter that prevents data from leaking out, while also letting them create a private, controlled doorway for trusted services, like that data scientist's notebook.
Okay, so security is locked down. But what about quality?
Is the AI consistently generating useful user stories? Are the prompt improvements the team is making actually helping? In an enterprise setting, you can't just rely on gut feelings. You need cold, hard data.
And this is where the Gen AI evaluation service comes in. The best way to think of it is like a unit testing framework, but for the AI model itself. It gives you objective, data-driven feedback on its performance using this really powerful feature called adaptive rubrics, which we're about to see. So instead of getting some vague percentage score, the team gets this kind of super granular breakdown. They can see right here the model passed on the sentence count, but it failed on maintaining an optimistic tone. This is incredibly actionable. They know exactly what part of their prompt they need to go back and tweak to get the result they want.
And this brings us to the final, and maybe most crucial concept, continuous improvement. The AI development lifecycle isn't a straight line, it's a loop. With all this great feedback, the team can now gather new data, create a better data set, and train an improved version of the model. This is the engine that drives modern AI development.
So there you have it. From a simple idea typed into a chat window, all the way to a secure, deployed, and continuously evaluated AI application, we've walked through the entire modern development journey. Which, of course, brings up a final question for you. What part of your own development lifecycle could be made smarter?